Hello, Taurus. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If you're watching this video, this reading was meant to find you. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Taurus, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Okay, the Eight of Swords. Now, you're very intellectual. I feel like you're a good thinker. I think you like to analyze. There's this energy of kind of combing through things and really being thorough and really paying attention, reading the fine print. Yeah, I feel like you notice those little details about things and about people. You notice the things that people don't say. You notice kind of like what the silences are telling you. You can read between the lines. You can read body language. I think you're picking up on a lot of details that other people wouldn't pick up on. And there may be a tendency to overthink or overvalue, to give too much weight to certain subtleties that maybe they don't mean as much as we thought they do. Like you're reading like someone's got their arms folded, and you're kind of reading into that perhaps a little bit too much, although it's a very good skill to have. Okay? So we just need a little bit of balance. We've got to kind of use maybe our intuition or use our common sense here rather than overthinking every detail and thinking everything is very significant and very, very meaningful. We're going to get buried. Okay, we're going to get buried in all that data. Let's see what's going on here. A little bit of context. Yeah, Four of Cups. 10 of Cups. We got a little universe card. We have a 2 of Pentacles and a 10 of Pentacles. Holy cow. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Yeah, like I said, the Eight of Swords is not a bad card. It's good that you're able to read the subtleties. It's good that you're able to pick up on body language or tone of voice or like micro expressions or like the little, the little phrases and little words that people use that nobody else is going to pick up on, but here you are picking up on all those details. Okay, and I wonder if that's really given you an advantage somewhere, but you got to try to kind of keep your emotions out of it. With that 4 of Cups, right? And we have a Knight. There's good, very good. Knight of Swords, the discernment. You have all of this data, and you have to be discerning to know which details are actually important. Okay, and you got a Fool. Okay. Fool is very interesting. Hierophant, of course, is your superpower card. And yeah, I think the Hierophant is you with the wisdom. Okay, you have the discernment and you have the wisdom that comes from you taking in all the details. You're reading all the information. You're reading the entire book. And then you're able to select and consolidate and synthesize all of that knowledge, all of those details, all of these overwhelming facts. You're able to distill them into wisdom. Yeah? And then finally, we have a Knight of Cups. So we have a lot of emotional energy here too. Okay? And it could be that right now your mind might be justifying you staying safe. Okay? When you're in an emotional upset, a situation that has very turbulent feelings surrounding it, it could be about money, it could be about your living situation, it could be about a relationship or a job or a friendship or whatever it is. When you're in a situation where there's a lot of emotional turbulence, facts are your friends. Facts are going to help you to sort of stabilize your emotions, and that's great. That's exactly what we see here. But now we have to kind of be discerning. We have to say, okay, am I just kind of keeping myself imprisoned by all these facts? You know, am I staying in the storm cellar now? Am I staying in the shelter, in the safe harbor? And I'm justifying that. Am I being too comforted by the facts, by the data, by the details? Am I reading into this situation in such a way that it's justifying me not going forward? Because I feel like you need to go forward with something, but you're holding yourself back by some of these details, some of these facts that you're investigating or learning or gathering, these thoughts that you're having. We may be using them to justify our playing it safe, our comfort zone. Okay? Let's select a mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. This is the factor infinite and unknown. We're going to set it over here with Jimbo, the Lizard King, aka Mr. Lizard. Right there on top. We're not going to look at that card until the very end. It will tie everything together and give us the confirmation that we need. If at any moment during this message you feel like you might know what that card might be, put your prediction in the comments. Now, as we look around the room, we see major, major, major. We don't see any fire. What we see is water and water and water. We see air and air, earth and earth. Okay, no fire. Because I think that, we haven't kind of made that decision. We haven't taken action. We haven't felt that surge or that impulse, that creative fire to go forward with something. Now, the knights are very fiery, very active energies, and I feel like this is really what we need. We need to cut through all of the details, cut through all the thinking, cut through all the complexity, and find the simple answer. And I think the simple answer is your heart's ready to go. Your heart's saying, let's do it. Let's move forward. Let's get it on. Let's do it. Okay? So the Eight of Swords then becomes the obstruction. The Eight of Swords is overthinking. Yeah, mental noise maybe. But I feel like it's a very, it's a very thorough card, But right now there's too many inputs. It's blocking clarity. Too many facts, getting mired in the data. Okay, that we're in the safe harbor, the safe cove. There was a storm in your life, and you've gotten out of the storm. You got safe. I'm happy about this. And now it's kind of there. Now there's just a lot of overthinking going on. There's a lot of facts that are kind of keeping us in that safe cove. So too many inputs, too much complexity now, that we're not able to see this straightforward path out of this safe harbor. When there's a storm, we go down in the storm cellar. Okay? And we're supposed to come back out once the storm's over and get back to business, right? But with the Eight of Swords here, we're always finding a reason to stay in the storm cellar. I'm not done, and it could be that we're in the planning phase of something, and we're not done thinking about it yet. I'm not done planning this and figuring things out. I need to do a little more research, a little more thought. Let me sleep on it another day or two. Let me analyze the data. Let me crunch the numbers again. Maybe tomorrow we'll go. But then we stay in there. Okay? And right now that's very loud mental energy. And it's blocking our clarity. There's too much noise. What we need to do is isolate the signal, isolate the essential facts, simplify. Okay? We need to breathe through. We don't need more thinking. We don't need more planning. We need a deep breath, and we need to go. Take a really deep breath in. Let it out. And let's get a move on. Okay? The noise is not the truth. Sometimes this can be fear disguised as very intellectual thought. Reduce the noise, clarity returns. The Four of Cups is that emotional safety. This can sometimes be that our heart is closed off to something, that we're just, we're justifying staying put by saying, I like it here. It's not that bad. We're down in the storm cellar and we're thinking, it's kind of cozy in here. Got a lot of canned goods, a lot of water. Maybe I could just stay here. You know, it's where we feel safe. Yeah. And it may even be this kind of apathy. It may be this like feeling uninterested in something. Oh, I don't want that. I don't care about that. You know. Meanwhile, I feel like you really do. You really want it, you know. But we're just, you know, we're playing it safe. We're staying in the comfort zone. Yeah. We may be disengaged from something. It may seem like we don't care about it, but we really do. We're just not sure how to go about getting it or doing it, or we're a little bit hesitant to go after it. Okay. And this is that heart that's boxed in. But this is emotional rest. This is emotional stability. This is comfort. This is calm. Okay? This is saying there's no more storms. There's no holes in the boat. Boat's not sinking. Yeah, but the boat's not sailing off to any adventure either. Not yet, anyway. Here we have the Fool. And I think the Fool is the wind in the sails of your boat here. This is a boat that is, it's a sailboat that's not sailing. It's a writer who's not writing. It's a lover who's not loving. It's a dancer who's not dancing. It's a fool that's not fooling. It's, we're not doing the thing that we're meant to do. So to me, this feels like it should be temporary. This is like there was a storm. I came here to get safe, to get out of the storm. You imagine you're going through the dark, scary forest, and it's dark, it's scary, it starts raining. You see a little house over there off in the distance, and you run over there, you bang on the door, you go inside, and you say, thanks for letting me in, there's a storm out there. But then you just never leave. And it's just like, I guess I live here now. No, it's kind of like, the storm's over, you got to move on now. You're in somebody else's house kind of thing. So I feel like this is us getting comfortable in a place that we're not meant to stay permanently. Whether this is the feeling you have in your relationship, and the Eight of Swords is you justifying staying in that relationship, or if this is you reading too much into something to where we just feel like, I can't move forward with it, I can't do it, I can't go after that goal. Perhaps not necessarily misinterpreting the facts, but assigning too much weight to certain facts and making them mean more than they do. Okay. This kind of comfort becomes a trap when we stop really listening to what's going on. Okay? Because you got this Ten of Cups down here. The Ten of Cups is the fulfillment that we're looking for. This is what you truly want. This is what your soul is trying to tell you. That this is out there for you. That this is a completion of your quest, of your journey. A fulfillment of your destiny. This is the party on the boat. This is emotional abundance and overflow. You are a very loving and very generous person. Problem is, we're getting stuck here. Complacent, stagnating, closed off, not connecting and loving and bonding with people, not taking the emotional risk or going on the adventure of our lives. Even though your soul wants it and you're very capable of it. Again, you're a very loving and very generous person. But right now it seems like you're kind of stuck in that place. Okay? This is the peak experience. This is, this is someone who wants to experience that joy and wants to experience life, fully. This is you wanting to have connections, to spend time with people that matter to you. This is you having gratitude for your life, and this is where we truly want to rest. Because both of these cards are resting, right? This one's resting but unfulfilled. This one is resting because it is full. This is the card that's saying, I'm just going to chill here because I'm not really hungry. This is like, I went to the buffet, I ate everything, all my favorite foods, and now I'm just going to sit here and rest because I am not hungry. I'm full. Both cards are resting, but one is resting because they've completed something. This is a card of completion. This isn't the beginning of it. This isn't saying, I'm stopping halfway and saying, it's good enough. This is kind of settling. This is saying, I'm not settling for anything. I'm going to keep going until I'm satisfied, until I'm full. Okay? So this is completion. This is the rest that you get. This is that sort of serotonin, the rest and digest. Emotional fullness. This is kind of like, this is how much you can hold. But this is how much you've got. There's room. You've got 10 cups that you could fill. You're only filling 4 of them. What? We've got to let this joy happen. We've got to get go. We've got to put our feet on the ground. We've got to go. There's something out there for you that needs you, and you want it. You got these cups. Let's go fill them up. Yeah. Now, what happened in the past is, of course, this universe card, or the world card, right? That a cycle has ended. That there was a long, drawn-out situation. Okay? The last chapter of your life. I don't know what was back here. But this was the long chapter. The last chapter was a long one. And so it feels like, maybe there was a lot of turbulence here. Okay? But this completion now, the ending, this chapter has ended. It's like you're now ready for the next one. Okay? You're ready for the next journey, although there is a delay. The next chapter is waiting for you with this fool. The fool is setting out on that adventure. Okay? The fool is doing it. But I feel like this was such a long, probably very difficult journey. Okay? That we've taken a pause. We're kind of, we're allowed some time to rest and heal, of course, This cycle is completing. And I think it's important that we go and we complete this next cycle too. And because of the nature of this universe card, it's Saturn and it's Earth, I feel like this was a lot of struggle. I feel like it was a lot of restrictions, a lot of rules, a lot of unnecessary kind of challenges that are just like, why does it have to be that way, A lot of unnecessary obstacles, roadblocks, speed bumps, a lot of restrictions. Kind of seemed arbitrary, some of the rules and things, you know, or the restrictions that were upon you. But this also feels like a wandering kind of energy. When I look at the universe card, I see somebody who is kind of lost in space. Maybe lost in that dark, scary forest. And is just kind of exhausted from walking around in a circle trying to find the exit. This could be, you know, a kind of a cork on the cosmic ocean, a feather in the cosmic wind. Maybe we spent a lot of time not knowing who we were or where we were going or why we were here, or like we don't even know which way is up. You know, when you're in the vacuum of space, there's no sense of up or down. And so maybe that Four of Cups is just saying, I'm tired of this one. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to just settle for whatever feels stable right now, because this is probably the most instability we could ever ask for. There's literally no stability. There's literally nothing to stand on. There's no frame of reference. There's no sense of up or down or left or right or forward or backward. It's probably the weirdest sensation ever. And so the Four of Cups could become just any sense of stability, even if it's the wrong kind. At least it's something solid. And so we find that little cabin in the woods and we just say, I'm just going to stay here. I don't even want to go back out there anymore. And I think a big part of that too is because of the Two of Pentacles up here. The fact that everything continues to change, that there's so much instability that we're always juggling a million different things. I kind of feel like your soul just needed a break here. And I think that's perfectly fine and good, of course, but I feel like there's something calling you forward. I feel like this is a turning point for you. Okay? Maybe there have been a lot of shifts in your finances or some kind of change in your schedule. I feel like you're balancing priorities. Yeah. Change is not instability. Change, the Two of Pentacles is called change. It's the card literally called change. Change is life transitioning to its next form. Maybe this was a feeling of emptiness. And so this at least fills us up in some way. Not all the way, but at least there's something. Change equals stability. Your life is transitioning to the next form. There is a shift that is working for you. We've got to be proactive. This is wealth. This is your future. This is abundance. This is completion. Okay? This is long-term security and prosperity. You're building something for the future. You've got to continue on this journey. It's almost, it almost feels like we rested like we're like almost halfway. We're at that 4, almost halfway. Let's go all the way. Okay. I think once we start moving, I think give it a few days and you'll see that this picture is getting much more well-defined. Okay. You're building for the future here. This is family, this is home, this is legacy, this is financial abundance, this is wealth. Not just accumulated money, but accumulated meaning. You're building something enduring. So consider the long term. This is supposed to be temporary, a temporary rest. But very often with the 4, any of the 4s of the tarot, the rest becomes a rather extended stay. And this is an emotional extended stay, which means we got to take a risk. We need the fire. We need that bold, risk-taking energy of the fire to get us out of this comfort zone. This is the accumulation of wealth, financial wealth, but also meaning and purpose. Yeah. Now guess what your Knight of Swords is doing? Picking a direction. Being strong-willed, being strategic. Kind of looking at the door and thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And maybe we're only thinking the first few steps. Okay? But we're making some kind of a game plan here. This is what we're going to do. We're just going to rush the door. Yeah? You're making decisions firmly. You're staying focused. You're trying to be professional. You're not going to let your feelings kind of overwhelm you. This is the mind now that has decided to do it. You are thinking like a leader. And your clarity right now is setting the tone. We're done with all the thinking, all the thoughts, all the complexity. Because you know by now what you need to do. You know exactly the next step to take. And now your mind is serving the truth, not serving anything else, not serving our fear. And we're going for it. We're taking a leap. We're taking a major leap here with the Fool. And this is the risk-taking. This is you setting off on a new adventure, not worrying about the entire plan, just saying, I know what the next step is. I'm going to take that next step. This is a new chapter. You're setting off on that new journey now. See, we may have finished a chapter of the book, right? But the story's not done yet. The Fool is letting go. The Fool is starting again, perhaps. Okay? Because maybe this is something that you feel like it didn't really work out, or you were getting kind of discouraged from that. And maybe your courage we don't need the fire. Because maybe courage isn't like a loud roar. Maybe courage here is going to be just the quiet willingness to start again. The fresh beginning. You're letting the curiosity lead you. The curiosity of like what really could be out there for you. Removing old expectations. Saying yes to the next step without knowing the entire map. Okay? So take that first step. In the next few days, I want you to do that. Even if your thoughts are trying to convince you that you're not ready, or it's not the right time, or you don't have all the data, do it anyway. Okay? A new self is born the moment you take that risk, stepping off of the familiar path, stepping out of that comfort zone. Trust the step that you're taking. Yeah. And Hierophant, you are a very wise person. You have very high standards. You are a principled individual. This is you in your best energy. This is you knowing what your higher self is telling you to do. This is a card of guidance and help and coaching and counseling. And I feel like this is coming from inside of you. I feel like you have the ability to coach yourself, because it's kind of like you know what you would say to your best friend if they were in your situation. You know exactly what you would say to them. So ask yourself for guidance. Ask yourself what you would do, what you should do. Coach yourself. Talk to yourself the way you would talk to your best friend. Okay? And allow yourself to make this emotional leap. Because, the mind is set on that direction. The mind knows the next step to take. The Fool is ready. The Fool is that new self that's ready to emerge. But we still need the coaching because your heart is still held back by the 4. So the Knight of Cups becomes the emotional risk. Taking an emotional leap forward. Putting our heart out there again and saying, I'm going to try again. This may be romance or something for you, but it may be creativity, it may be the job, career, it may be anything, maybe the sport. Okay? This is you knowing the emotion. Your heart and your mind now are both leaping forward into the future. Getting that 10 of Cups and Pentacles. Follow your inner calling because it's getting louder. Okay? Let that inspiration guide your next step. This creative spirit is moving you toward meaning. Walk the path that feels spiritually true. Walk the path with heart. Be willing to be vulnerable again and put yourself out there. Open up emotionally and let yourself get after it. Okay? Follow that inner calling. Let's look at the mystery card. This may be some fire, huh? Probably. It may be your other superpower card, though, the Prince or King of Pentacles. Well, let's take a look. 10 of Wands, pedal to the metal. If we needed fire, here it is. If we were lacking fire, now you got all the wands. Because this is kind of like saying, look, no one is going to do this for you. No one is going to take the responsibility for your future other than you. This is your burden to carry. You've got all the weight on your shoulders. Okay? You got to get ambitious. You got to take responsibility. You got to take ownership. Yeah. Pick up yourself and put your effort into this. This is level 10 effort. We're turning up the volume. We're cooking with gas now, okay? And this is courage. This is saying, I'm just going to get up, I'm going to pick myself up, and I'm going to do it. And at first, maybe it feels real heavy. The first step may feel like, oh God, I can't even lift this, you know? Once you get the momentum going, once you start picking up the pace, it's going to feel so much lighter, you know? Once a car gets up to speed, it doesn't take as much, torque. It doesn't take as much gas to sustain that speed. But going from 0 to 55, that's going to take a lot. You're moving 5,000 pounds a car, It's going to take a lot. But once you get going, it's going to feel easy. Okay? The first step, it feels like it's the heaviest. When you're lifting weights, right? The first time you lift it, it's so heavy. But once you do it a couple times, you're like, hey, this isn't so bad. Then it starts to get heavy again, but you get into that sweet middle, and it feels easy. Okay? So I feel like you need to take that first, most difficult step, and then the momentum will build, and you'll get into this flow, and it will feel a little bit easier, okay? Anyway, we're going to do an extended reading. If you want to stick around, there's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you are the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you, and I love you, and we're all in this together.